I'm sure you guys have already heard this by now, but both Jake and Rebecca were in court earlier today and they both pleaded not guilty. So now I have one question. Whatever happened to that little confession that we heard about? Are we supposed to pretend that that never happened? Because I remember, and I know a lot of you guys remember too, what the media reported. The media said that Jake confessed to a fake undercover inmate. Right now, I told you when that was initially reported that I did not believe it, that I thought it was very unlikely that that was the case. And it looked unlikely then, and now it looks even more unlikely because Jake pleaded not guilty. So you want me to believe that he's pleading not guilty, but he also has already confessed to killing Emmanuel? That does not add up. That does not add up at all. And like I said, right from the get-go, I did not believe these claims that the mainstream media was making and that certain reporters were making. Now, that doesn't mean that they just made up this information for clicks and views. I'm sure they had sources that were telling them that. I just don't think that that's the case. I don't think that Jake has already confessed to what he did. And I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it or anything, but I do think it's important that all of us stay on the same page here. I think that we need to have a united front when it comes to this story, because I'm sorry, I do not trust law enforcement out there in Cali. They have failed too many kids. They failed Jake's other kid. So I think we need to have a united front here. And like I said, everyone needs to be on the same page. We cannot allow law enforcement to drop the ball, and we cannot allow ourselves to be distracted and torn apart by all of these different theories and all of this different info that is swirling around out there. Because ever since that was reported, it feels like every time I talk about this case, I'm talking to two different audiences. One half of the audience doesn't believe that Jake confessed, and they've been following the story from day one. They're keyed in on all of the updates, nothing to worry about there. But then the other half of the audience, they already assume that Jake confessed. So a lot of them think that, I'm talking about this case still for no reason. Why are you still talking about this case? Jake already said he did it. We don't know that. So half of the audience thinks that, the story kind of has already come to a conclusion. They think that Jake already admitted to killing Emmanuel. So they don't understand why the court dates are happening. They don't understand why I'm complaining that there's no searches going on and stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess anything is possible. It could still be possible that he talked to some undercover inmate. I don't think that's the case, though. And I'm wondering now that they have pleaded not guilty, can we put some of that to rest? Because like I just explained, I feel like we need a united front here. I want everyone to be on the same page. Most people haven't gone too far off the rails yet when it comes to this case. But if people are just operating under the assumption that Jake already admitted to everything over a week ago, it's hard to explain to them that, hey, that's not actually the case. I know you heard that, but that's not how things are playing out here. But they were talking about this on the news, talking about today's court date. I want to go ahead and roll the clip of that really quickly, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
They're tracking the case of missing 7-month-old baby Emmanuel Haro. Hello, I'm Angela Chen. Jake and Rebecca Haro have both pleaded not guilty to their murder charges today and for filing a false police report. News Channel 3's Garrett Hoddle is live outside the courthouse in Riverside right now. Garrett, what can you tell us?
Well, the arraignment lasted about 5 minutes in total, I could say, and I can tell you inside the courtroom you couldn't get a very good glimpse of both Jake and Rebecca Haro as they were being blocked by their attorneys in court. Now, we learned a couple of new things. As you mentioned, both Jake and Rebecca Haro entering pleas of not guilty on those murder charges. We also learned that Jake is now being represented by 2 lawyers from the public defender's office. Remember, at last week's hearing, we told you that the public defender's office said they could not represent both Jake and Rebecca because of a conflict of interest. Now we're learning that a new attorney has been appointed to represent Rebecca by the conflict panel because of that conflict of interest. So, in sum, right now we know Jake is being represented by the public defender's office. Rebecca is being represented by Jeff Moore, a local attorney right here in Riverside County. We reached out to both of them after the arraignment today. They did not want to interview and go on camera. But this story, as we've seen throughout our coverage, it's garnered a lot of attention, and there's been been several groups right here outside the courtroom today advocating for change and actually making real steps. I want to introduce you to one person we talked to earlier today. Her name is Jasmine. She does this podcast called Murder by Nature, and she's been covering this story basically out here at the courtroom and with us in Cabazon every day. Take a listen to one effort that she's doing right now to make the world a better place, she says, in lieu of this story.
So we are taking action. We made a change.org to build a registry for child abusers. So we want to make sure that people that do any crimes to child abusers, like any crimes to children that are abusers, they have a registry that they go on, just like with Megan's Law or just like with sexual assault victims. You have to be on a registry where you can't live next to a school, you can't do this, you can't do that. Why are we not protecting our children and doing the same?
Jake Haro.
And I mean, get this, she's not the only one. Jasmine is from Yucaipa, so this story really hits close to home. But we also saw people here from groups as far away as Caldwell, Idaho, advocating on behalf of little Emmanuel. The latest, though, the biggest question is, where is Emmanuel? We heard from the DA's office last week that they have a strong indication of where Emmanuel's remains may be. They also say that they believe Emmanuel died over a prolonged series of abuse caused by his parents before August 14th. We've asked how they were able to come to that conclusion. We haven't been able to get those details just yet. I was also told by the DA's office today that the arrest warrant will not be made public. They believe that is, of course, the judge's determination, so we're going to continue pressing for that. Meanwhile, a felony settlement conference in this case has been set for the 16th with prelims on the 17th. We'll keep you posted if that changes. For now, live in Riverside, Garrett Hoddle, back to you guys.
This is certainly a case that has captured national attention. Thank you.
So yeah, folks, as you just heard, we have a couple of more court dates coming up here this month, but the question remains, where is Emmanuel? And unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you guys. You guys know, if you've been watching my videos, you all know that I was excited about today. I even put out videos talking about how today is the big day, because I kind of feel like I've been sitting on the edge of my seat for over a week now, waiting on some info about Emmanuel. And I think it's the fact that law enforcement says that they think they may know where he is. That's what kind of has me antsy, because if you tell me something like that, I'm going to expect you to go looking and maybe find him. Don't tell me, oh, I think I know where it is, and then never go look. But that's what we've been dealing with. And I had my hopes up once again. I always get my hopes up in this case for no reason. I thought that there was a very strong likelihood that after court, we would have a little press conference. Maybe some questions would be answered outside of the courthouse. Anything. We got nothing. We got absolutely nothing. Jake and Rebecca, they come in court. They're there for about 5 or 10 minutes. They plead not guilty, and that's it. I wasn't expecting much out of court, but I was expecting something afterwards. And maybe I shouldn't get my expectations up. That's wrong of me to expect anything, but damn, we have a kid still missing. Whose I guess we're looking for remains now. Remains have not been found. Forgive me for wanting some sort of update. Forgive me for expecting law enforcement to update the public about their search for Emmanuel. Jake and Rebecca are behind bars. They can update us, but maybe they just have nothing to say. Maybe they have nothing may be their strong indication as to where he is. Maybe that lead turned out to be absolutely nothing. I don't know. Nobody knows because they're not saying anything, but I'm going to keep following this case every day. I keep my fingers crossed that I can come here and report to you guys that there's something going on. But as of right now, nothing. And that's why I said I think we need to keep a united front here. Let's not split off into different groups that believe this and believe that. Let's stay united until Emmanuel is found. People can argue and fight about other things. There's plenty of things to fight and argue about in this world. Let's not fight and argue over differences of theories when it comes to the Emmanuel Haro case, especially if it's differences due to information coming from the media, information that is sometimes unreliable. So I don't think Jake confessed. And as of right now, I'm losing faith that we're going to get any solid updates on the search for Emmanuel anytime soon. But you guys, let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next